Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Biosphere in beautiful Carrollton, Texas. Oh. Yeah, you can't survive outside this.
Wow.
Actually true. It is DCTF Live, an internet show. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, and TexasFootball.com, a website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you are watching us live at TexasFootball.com, which you can do every weekday at noon, or you are listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes. Either way, thank you very much for your continuing courage and support of this thing. I am sitting here. Sitting over there is Max Thompson.
What's up, man?
Maximilian, how are you?
How's it going?
Oh, just kind of. I'm plodding along. I'm almost on vacation time.
Yeah. So, in appropriate fashion today will be 8 million things you need to get done before you leave.
Of course,
right?
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. That's just kind of. I
was telling my wife last night on our walk. My wife. Epic task list ahead of today. It's
today's
there's a lot to get done today.
Yeah. So for we're working on 2 special editions. So last year we did a TCU and a Baylor special edition. This year we're doing an A&M and a Houston special edition. That should be 2 special editions, so they're 2 separate. It's not one Houston and A&M book. That'd be a little weird.
Yeah.
But so we're working on those, and we send those to press, I think, today. So or tomorrow, one of the 2. I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention. So today
that's not good.
I know. Today
you're kind of the guy who needs to pay attention.
Today is Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016, episode 176. The batting average and on-base percentage for Chris McGinnis in his illustrious Texas Rangers career. A little bit later, Chris McGinnis. He played in 2013. He was a first baseman for a couple days.
Wow.
That's sad that I know that, but it's true.
That's amazing.
Fact check me. Google that. A little bit later, just because. Mm-hmm. So last week we talked about like out-of-state games, Texas versus the world.
Yeah.
We're going to focus more on in-state games.
Yeah.
For week 1, there's a big slate of week 1 games that we're really excited about.
Is there
Texas
a part
football.
of you? We're going to talk about this more later, but when I look at the week 1 schedules, number 1, I'm like, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I can only go to 1 or 2.
I know. It's the bummer,
sucks.
right? Dude, I can't go to any. I mean, unless I go to a Thursday game or a Saturday game.
Right.
But I can't go to any because I'm doing the Fox Sports Southwest thing on Saturday nights, which stinks. And in a moment, we've got headlines including the latest from Baylor, the latest from A&M, just all sorts of terribleness. Plus, Texas Tech and Oregon are going to play.
Hey, why not?
So we'll get into that in just a moment. We did not have an opportunity to talk about our weekends yesterday because we were so rudely interrupted by Jake Klanik.
Jake Klanik. Lord knows that's what people tune in for, is to hear about our weekends.
Well, but you went to Colorado, and I want to. How you went hiking? How was the hiking?
It was lovely.
Yeah.
Scenic.
Was the weather just like?
It's amazing.
Ugh.
Not a. Here's the thing. Especially when you're hiking like that.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, who's a ER nurse, was like, remember, you're not going to sweat like you're used to sweating, but you're going to be just as dehydrated as if you did this hike. He's like, I want you to remember that because you're going to go, wow, I'm really not sweating. I'm really handling this mountain. Mm-hmm. I'm a mountain man. Mm-hmm. I was born to do it. And then you're going to get halfway through and you'll be like, your muscles will give up on you because you are actually extremely dehydrated. But because there's no humidity, your sweat just evaporates.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's actually doing its job, as opposed to here, where you wear it as a nice secondary skin blanket.
So we are doing kind of a similar vacation coming up here, except completely different.
Right.
We're going hiking too, but instead of going hiking in like beautiful 71-degree Colorado, we're going to go hiking in Big Bend National Park.
In August.
It's going to be, actually, we looked up the weather. It's only going to be like 100, which...
That's it?
Which honestly, like, there are people who are laughing like, haha, only 100. No, I really honestly mean that because I think the last time we were there, I think it was 100 104, 105.
This is the thing. You're going in the summer, which is sort of fascinating. I mean, it's when you
for
go.
the second time. For the second time we're going this summer.
Right. And I've told you a little bit. My wife and I are planning a road trip through the Southwest next spring when there's nothing going on. And when it's a good time to go through the Southwest because it's spring.
Of course.
Right.
No, and I've been told that by a couple of people who have been out there to Big Bend as much as we have. This is our second trip. It's my favorite place in the world. It is literally, I get away from all you idiots.
Right.
And I don't have to listen to anybody. But we've been told by many people that are like, wow, like Big Bend, great choice for a vacation, but you're a psychopath for going out there in summer.
Warm.
It is. But the beauty of it is that even in a place that is that remote and even in a place that is that sparsely populated, it's even more sparsely populated then. It's like wonderful. I just want to.
Sure.
I don't want to be around people, and I don't want to listen to people. I want to hang out with my wife, and I want to like read and write. That's what I want to do.
Completely reasonable. I don't blame you in the slightest.
Tomorrow, I want to discuss a Netflix show I'm watching.
Oh.
So
okay.
There's a tease ahead.
Sure.
We're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State.
Oh.
What?
Colorado. One other thing that I had to bring up because this is a football show. Colorado State. Sorry if you're really looking forward to Greg's promo.
Oh, my God.
So Colorado State is building a new football stadium, which is
176
part
episodes.
of their pitch to the Big 12, right? Like, we're building a brand new stadium on campus. It's going to be, state of the art, yada, yada, yada. I just saw for the first time their current football stadium sitting underneath the mountains outside of town. It's amazing.
Yeah, the current one?
Yeah, the current one. Where it's like you have to get out of town. It's at the front base of the mountains before you start. Like right before we went into our hike, you have to go past the stadium. It's gorgeous. The setting is amazing. They're going to build a different stadium downtown, away from the mountains, where you can't really see the mountains unless I'm sure you're up at the top of the stadium.
Lame.
It's so stupid.
How
stupid?
How far off campus is the current one?
Not far by any. I mean, like 10 minutes.
Would you compare
15.
it to like Baylor, what they had with Floyd Casey?
Yeah,
a little bit off
it
campus.
doesn't feel like it's part of campus, but also Floyd Casey was in the middle of nothing interesting ever.
That's a good
right?
point.
I mean, like if you're going to go 15 minutes, at least have the stadium be somewhere amazing, and it is. Stupid. Sorry, continue.
You know how I feel about mountainous stadiums. You know I love the Sun Bowl. You know the Sun Bowl's like my favorite place.
Yeah,
so.
Sun Bowl, Wyoming Stadium. This one, completely ridiculous setting.
We're DCTF. Can I do this now?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football. I'm waiting for him to do it.
I'm about to do it.
Talking football in the Lone Star State. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. And we have a website. All right, Max, let's get into a couple of headlines. First and foremost, couple little cleanup notes from across the weekend. There was a report. Hey, this is going to stun you, but the Baylor thing's getting worse before it gets better. Like we told you, like we've been telling you basically ever since that day in May. It's going to get worse before it gets better. A report from the Associated Press is now coming out that Baylor rape victims, I'm going to read here from Deadspin, Baylor rape victims say the university told women who attempted to report their assaults that their parents would be informed of their alcohol or drug use under the Student Conduct Code, and in some circumstances were themselves charged with code violations. The idea being that Baylor was trying to keep these things quiet and make these things go away by more or less threatening the victims. So that is the latest in the world is a dark place and I don't want to live here anymore.
Yeah, but Greg, you know what? It happens at every school. Quit picking on Baylor, you anti-Baylor jerk.
That's the dumbest. And you're saying it in a funny way, or trying to say it in a funny way.
I gotta laugh at something. There's a bunch
that
of
is something that
idiots who respond to us like that.
I get told yes, I get told that all the time. Like when there will be a development in the Baylor story, and I will just retweet it and be like, "Man, this thing is just really dark." Like something it
is horrific.
A really innocuous comment. And people are like, Baylor's moving on.
Yeah, they're moving on.
So why don't you?
House.
Guess what? It's not my responsibility to move on from what happened at Baylor. It's not.
So
if there's
stupid.
developments in the story, as a journalist, I'm going to pass those along because that's what journalists do. We pass along information.
Yeah, but you're just out to get Baylor.
And that's the other thing. This whole notion that, this isn't happening. The other thing that comes up a lot when I start talking about Baylor is that Baylor fans call me like, you didn't seem super interested in what's going on in Alabama or Oklahoma. Well, two things. First of all, I am interested in them, but I don't cover them.
It's not your job to cover those teams.
Exactly. And secondly, that doesn't mean that what happened at Baylor is any better.
Right. Yeah. I always love the argument. This happens everywhere. So I'm supposed to not pay attention to it happening at your place. Okay.
In that case. All right. In that case, let's just forget it.
It's totally cool that it happened at Baylor.
I don't know.
You're right.
Hate that notion. It's come more and more up in discussions about Baylor, and it's just so there's more horrific details coming out, and there will probably be some more tomorrow because this is a horrific story.
Yes.
And guess what? I'm going to talk about it every time because it's an important story. And I'm sorry if that makes you feel weird about your favorite football team. That's a really dumb argument.
Agreed.
Also, in high school news. Story from our friends at the Corpus Christi Caller Times. Len Hayward has a story about Corpus Christi Calallen and they're starting their practices for the 2016 season. Calallen, a squad that we've talked about a bit. A lot of intrigue around Calallen this year. Not only because we think they're going to be a pretty good team. In fact, we have them playing in a state championship game, which is why Coach Phil
Danaher wasn't super thrilled with us.
Not happy with us when we saw him at THSCA coaching convention. But the other thing about it is that Coach Danaher is, I believe, 8 wins away from tying and 9 wins away from breaking the all-time wins record in Texas high school football coaching. And you take a look at, actually, I could probably pull up their schedule.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about Calallen and why we are so high on them?
Sure.
I think there's a lot of confusion about that because if you kind of look at the historic record, I guess the last 10, 15 years, but how they performed in the playoffs and sort of the buzzsaws they've run into and what the issue is, right? Region 4 has been notoriously tough for the Coastal Bend teams to get through because of the rise of the Central Texas teams, the Steels, the Lake Travises, the Cedar Parks.
Sure.
But if you look at what realignment has done to Region 4 and specifically what Calallen would be up against, all of a sudden, these big monsters that have been in their way, not really in the way anymore. And that's a big reason why we're so bullish on their chances this year.
Well, we love the crew they've got coming back. We love the fact that they're well coached. We love the fact that they feel like they've got a target on their back, or they feel like they've got the team to compete. Yeah. But beyond that, I just think that right now, Region 4 has opened up a little bit for them. And I think that, in a certain extent, Region 3 has opened up for them in a semifinal. He is 9 wins away, and I will tell you, taking a look at their schedule, just a quick glance, they're going to be favored in probably every one of their games.
Yeah.
The ones that will give you pause, they play San Antonio Johnson in non-district. They're probably going to. I think they're going to be favored, especially at home against them. And then their big district matchup is probably at Gregory Portland. Which would come in week 7. But Phil Danaher needs 9 wins to become the all-time winningest coach in Texas high school football history. If you want to project that out, that means that if they go undefeated, he would break it week 9 at Alice. Okay.
To be fair, good to get it out of the way before the playoff run.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If they do drop a game, let's say they lose to San Antonio Johnson, then almost certainly they'll be heavy favorites over Corpus Christi Miller at home in week 10. They have a week 11 bye week. So. Very interesting to see. Very interesting to see this. Or actually, they do not have a week 11 bye week. They're doing the same thing with the San Antonio district, the North Side district, where they have the two sides, and then if they were to win their zone, then they would go and play for the district title.
One thing I was curious about,
which could also be for it, but
you and I often find ourselves in these weeks leading up to the season, sort of gravitating towards teams that we think we'll end up rooting for a little bit against all odds. I think West Orange Stark, Jack Dallas, that group last year was a team that we sort of attached ourselves to. Mansfield Lake Ridge was another. Calallen,
All right.
I'm kind of feeling it.
You're
And here's why.
Get out your pom-poms.
Yeah, I'm getting my pom-poms out. And a couple of reasons why. This is a team I watched a lot in the past in that Region 4, and a team I'm used to seeing. I know the kind of crowds they bring out, how passionate they are for it. And something that Coach Danaher said to us when we were at THSCA, they feel like if they are successful, that's them representing not just Calallen, not just the Coastal Bend, but the entire southern region of the state.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there is something to that. So I would love to see that whole area rally behind a team from that area at this level, 5,
I think they
6A.
would.
Absolutely.
I think they would.
And push it all the way to the title game.
If they started making a run and they were to play a semifinal at like the Alamo Dome or something, then it would be
chaos. It'd be great.
Another headline. We like to sprinkle in the bad stuff with the good stuff because another bad thing came out of Texas A&M.
Yeah, let's go into something bad now.
Our friend Anwar Richardson had the scoop about this.
Anwar,
not Anwar. Anwar Richardson had the scoop about this chalk talk that Texas A&M did for women.
Well, he's just a Longhorn reporter out to get the Aggies.
Look, you can find, if you want to Google A&M chalk talk, it'll come up.
It's awful.
So, and this has become a new thing, is that these football teams are doing, like introducing football to women.
Yeah,
and
women's
stuff.
clinic.
And it makes me feel weird, honestly.
You can do it right and you can do it wrong.
Right. Here's the thing. I know a lot of women who are already super knowledgeable about football.
Yeah.
And I think of this notion, because there are never clinics for men, right? And I think this notion that we have to have these clinics so that women can understand the game is kind of condescending, in a sense.
Yeah.
So I don't like the whole idea of it, period. That's one thing, okay? Hard stop. I definitely don't like the way A&M did it, and I won't repeat some of the things in these.
Easy to find on the internet
things,
if you want to find out.
But it's just pretty much totally misogynistic and sexist.
Yeah.
And it's really gross.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the guys who was in charge of they've suspended 2 assistants for 2 weeks as a result. Guys who are in charge of it, including one of the guys who used to be an assistant on the Dolphins for the during that whole Richie Incognito thing. Remember when there was like bullying?
Yep.
So right now we're not feeling like that guy. I can't find his name. Was it Johnson, something like that?
Not great associations, that's for sure.
No, let's see. Jim Turner.
Yeah.
Jim Turner. Let's put it this way. I don't feel like he's got a great grasp on what is socially acceptable.
Right.
So,
and this is this has been a bad off season for A&M assistant coaches after the whole Aaron Moorhead thing with Tate Martell.
Oh my God.
What is this?
We need football season to get here in a hurry. One more headline that came out yesterday. It was in the college ranks. We've got a new home and home on the schedule.
Yeah.
A new home and home on the schedule. It is Texas Tech and Oregon, who will play a home and home series in 2023 and 2024. In September 2023, Oregon will travel to Lubbock, and then in 2024, the Red Raiders will travel up to Eugene to take on the Ducks. The initial reaction for everybody is like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome because two high-flying offenses, it's going to be crazy. Let's also remember, this is 7 years away.
Yeah. We were talking about this yesterday. This is when it sets in with you that it's like, I come to you and I say, Tech and Oregon are going to play tomorrow, and you go, hell yes,
awesome, yeah,
sign me up,
right?
Let's watch it.
Mm-hmm.
7 or 8 years from now,
we don't know what they're going to look like.
They could both be pro-style, boring-ass teams.
It could be. It really could be.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited about it. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. I don't want to be the turd in anybody's punch bowl.
No.
But
I still think it's exciting for sort of the cross-regional part
Absolutely.
of it. Absolutely. There's no question.
But let's also remember that a lot could change in 7 years.
It's hard
I'm probably going to be dead.
Yeah. It's hard to get excited. We all are.
Yeah.
For what it's hard to get excited about these things. The point I made yesterday is like, okay, I tell you in 6 years, Michigan and Texas are going to have a series. Right. And everyone will sort of gravitate towards it because of the cachet attached to it, right? Like it's just like this historic clash. That's interesting. No matter who is coaching at that school, even if it's a 30-point game, it's just cool that the two teams met. Yeah. And I suppose that's true in a sense with Oregon and Tech, but it's not quite the same. No. And that's coming from two people who obviously think a lot of Tech.
Yeah, we do. But Oregon and Tech, say what you want, Oregon and Tech are not the blue bloods that like Michigan and Texas are. You know what I mean? Like that's not a knock on either team. It's just the facts of the matter. There's about 9 blue bloods, okay? Like Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, USC, those kind of iconic programs.
Right.
Tech and Oregon have obviously had great success, but they're not those blue bloods. No. That said, I'm really excited, and I think that it's going to be fun. I think that from a perspective of, and who knows what conference Tech is in at that point, but from a perspective of here's one of the best teams in the West Coast against one of the powers of kind of middle of America. I think that's a lot of fun. So we're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's, follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course see us at TexasFootball.com. All right. So, Max, we're less than 4 weeks away from Texas high school football season, and we can't wait. We're very excited.
Yes.
We're an excitable bunch here at DCTF Live. And so we've already taken a look forward at week 1 because we have the week 1 schedules out, and we know what we know what it's going to be, what's going to be out there. And here's a spoiler alert: there's a lot of really, really good games.
Right.
A lot of them, and a lot of them involving reigning state champions going up against really tough squads.
Yeah.
Let's start in 6A. These are the week 1 games in Texas high school football we're most excited about. We'll start Lake Travis and Converse Judson. All right. First and foremost, Judson visits Lake Travis, by the way.
Right.
And first and foremost, the battle of the quarterbacks is super interesting. You got Julon Williams over there at Converse Judson.
Right.
You got Charlie Brewer over there at Lake Travis. We obviously have very high expectations for Lake Travis. We have very high expectations for Converse Judson.
Both programs.
And this is a game. Is Lake Travis going to go D1?
Yes.
They will? Okay. Lake Travis going D1. So then this could be a preview of a state semifinal.
Right.
I
mean, the D1 this year has kind of become a full-out brawl.
Yeah. Man, I've got it. Okay. Dr. Susan Elza, if you're listening, Dr. Susan Elza, if I can speak directly into the camera to Dr. Susan Elza, the UIL athletic director, can we knock it off with this realignment stuff? Because I had just gotten the hang of who was in what district, and then you guys go and reshuffle it. Come on, guys. Help me out here. This has been a personal appeal to Dr. Susan Elza. So Judson and Lake Travis should be a fantastic game.
Yes.
And a squad, two teams that look like they've got legit state title aspirations. Another one, 2 teams that have legit state title aspirations, 2 teams that played in title games last year. Yeah. One of them won it in Katy. The other one lost it in Austin Westlake. And there's so many storylines. This is probably the game we're going to be focusing on a ton when it comes around. Because, first of all, you've got, 2 teams that played for titles. That's good enough. The clash in styles is super interesting, where you've got Katy with that traditional pro style, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Right. Going to get the Westlake spread with Sam Ellinger and company.
Quick decision.
5
plays.
This will be our first time to see Katy. What does Katy look like after
amazing group graduate?
Yeah, exactly. So what do they look like? Super interested in that one. Down in the Houston area, Spring Westfield and Houston Lamar. 2 teams that have terrific pedigree. 2 teams that lost a fair amount last year. From last year. Westfield's losing their big playmaker in Ed Oliver. Yeah. Lamar lost a number of playmakers from that defense as well. Yeah. What do these 2 teams look like? I think that this is going to give us a good glimpse into what that whole Houston area looks like, because these are kind of 2 of those Houston Blue Bloods. Down in 5A, Denton Ryan makes their 5A debut this year, and boy, do they open up with a big one. They travel to Lancaster, and Chris Gilbert's Tigers are going to be ready to make a statement early in this season, and here's their opportunity. At home against a team that we think has a chance to win a state title. Lancaster and Denton Ryan should be a lot of fun. Cedar Park visits Hewitt Midway. Very interested in this. Cedar Park, of course, another defending state champ. They bring back, a fair amount. They lose a couple of playmakers offensively, but they bring back a fair amount. And they're going up against a Hewitt Midway team that, honestly, I'll be dead honest, we don't really know what to make of.
No. A lot of new things going on there.
A new coach there. They've got a number of moving parts. New quarterback. This is going to be a really, really interesting group in Hewitt Midway, but they draw the state champs at home in week 1. Should be a lot of fun. And then back down in the Houston area, Crosby and Manville. Speed all over the place. I want to see what Crosby does with Manny Netherly, a guy who can take over the game at any point. Manville always has big time athletes out there. This should be a lot of fun down there in 5A. Manville, of course, another drop down from Class 6A.
Right.
In 4A, 2 games I've got my eye on: East Texas, Gilmer, and Liberty Ilo. How about that, huh?
Boy.
You want to get excited? Gilmer and Liberty Ilo is going to be a lot of fun. You've got the big-time defense with Liberty Ilo, led by Legarian Carson, going up against Gilmer's always high-flying attack. What does the high-flying Gilmer attack look like this year? We're going to find out real early in Texarkana. And then also in 4A, LaGrange and Liberty Hill. Another game that I think is flying under the radar. You've got
tell us a lot early on.
You've got J.K. Dobbins for LaGrange, the big-time running back, going up against what's always an outstanding Liberty Hill defense. So I'm very excited to see what happens there. Down in 3A, what does Cameron Yo look like without Tran Smith? What does Cameron Yo look like without Rick Rhodes?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to get tested very early when they travel to Belleville. And this is going to be a big-time gut check for Cameron Yo because Belleville can ball. Belleville's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, and Cameron Yo has to go on the road to visit them. Very intrigued.
Yeah.
This will tell us a lot about both teams in the early going. Then up in the Panhandle, what about Childress and Wellington? We have very high expectations for Childress. We think that Childress could be the breakout star of Class 3A. Well, now they have to take on Wellington. Yes, a 2A power, but a very good one. And if Childress is what we think they will be, then going on the road and beating Wellington would be a very good sign that we're right. That would be a very but Wellington could also play spoiler here.
Yeah.
Wellington's got their own playmakers out there. Very excited to see Childress and the Skyrockets. Down there in 2A, another Central Texas matchup, Lexington and Mart. Talk about pedigree. Tons of pedigree in this one. Mart should be very interesting this year. We have very high hopes for them, as we do pretty much every year. But Mart, especially this year, after what I think most would call a rather ho-hum season last year, I think they've been building up to this year. They were very young last year. Very excited to see them, and Lexington will be no pushover, that is for sure. And then down in South Texas, Falls City and Bruni. Bruni was that team last year that I think flew under a lot of people's radars. Not ours. But flew under a lot of people's radars. Well, here's their chance at home to take on one of the true Region 4 South Texas 2A powers in Falls City. Falls City, Death Taxes, and Falls City. They're always very good.
Right.
What does Bruni do with them at home? I know they lost a ton from last year's squad.
Right.
What do they look like this year? Are they a one-hit wonder? We're going to find out. Don't forget, we did not forget about you six-man fans. Kroll and Guthrie. Kroll coming off of a really heartbreaking loss in the title game last year. They were going for their third straight title. What do they look like this year? We've got high expectations for them. Taking on Guthrie, a squad that has been there, done that, got the T-shirt, a squad with tons of pedigree. Kroll and Guthrie is probably the six-man game that I'm most interested in. Max, you've got some. You're going to have some choices to make as far as which one to go to. In fact, this might, week 1, we got to figure out what we're going to be doing and everything.
Well,
but
I may be hamstrung because of our secret project and needing to film a few more things.
Oh, really? Because I was going to say,
but that would be a fun game anyway.
I was going to say I could be convinced to do a Saturday game, maybe down in another part of the state, if you want to.
Well, maybe.
If you want us to come to.
There's a hot rumor on the street.
What?
The Saturday games.
What?
I may be in Frisco.
Star. If you want me to come to your Saturday week 1 game, stop it. If you want me to come to your Saturday week 1 game, tweet me at Tepper and sell me on it, and I'll see what I can do. It's got to be on Saturday because I work on Friday nights.
Greg,
for Fox Sports.
we'd
Southwest.
love to have you at the Star.
That's gonna do it. Thank you for spending.
Is
part of
it?
your
We're
day
not
with
even
us.
talking about Champs in Trouble.
Follow us on Twitter at the. Well, yeah, I was talking about Lake Travis.
I guess.
You know,
sure.
they were a champ
Does that
actually.
count?
You know, Katie.
Sure.
That's going to do it for us. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.